Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's first video. Do USA forecast for today's first video. So as was on a Wednesday, we're having a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days in the United States. And I shall get on with that for you very shortly, just so that coming up later on today. We're going to have a 10 to 14 day update for UK and for Northern Europe. That will include all regular features, of course. And then we've got the Easter update coming up for you this evening. So quite a busy day at GavsWeatherVids today. Please like videos if you're enjoying them. And make sure you subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that USA future weather content. You can do that. Right, we're going to start off with the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. We're looking at New York today. So the red line is a 30-year upper air temperature average for New York. You see we're starting off pretty mild actually quite warm in New York at the moment. The upper air temperature is around 10 degrees at 850 HPA. That's really quite warm for the time of year, well above average. That's where the average is, of course, where that red line is. So it's a bit of a plunge in the temperature coming up next week. So going to go briefly a lot colder down that eastern seaboard of the states through the early part of next week. Not for all that long though. The temperature then will start to lift up later on in week 4. We have another drop, that perhaps a little bit more significant, occurring over the Easter weekend. And then as we head on into the end of the first week of April, into the second week of April, we'll have the temperature going back towards average. So very much up and down at the moment, indicative of the time of year, alternating air masses that you get within transitional seasons, often mild or warm even, start off with, but cooler air pushing in from Canada for a while, recedes away, turns mild, and then turns colder again. So the next push of cold air comes down from Canada, and then that goes and it gets warmer once again. So it's all very, very sort of traditional, sort of changeable spring weather. Precipitation-wise, going to be a lot of rain coming up over the next 24 hours or so with this very mild air. So it is associated with a lot of wet weather as well. This area of precipitation here is a cold front that's going to bring cold air in from the north. So that could be rain, maybe turning to snow as well. And then after that, another plunge in temperature occurring just there. Again, associated with precipitation. That one again could deliver rain and or snow as the cold air digs in. So quite unsettled, and a lot of changes to come. A lot going on over the next few days. Temperature anomalies in the United States look like that. East-west split, really. So it's colder than average across the western part of America in the week ahead from the 22nd to 30th of March. Below average temperatures, the western side of America, but mild average temperatures for the eastern side of America. So despite those colder plunges that occur next week, actually the anomaly overall for the coming week, temperature anomaly overall for the coming week, is milder than average in the east and in the north. The precipitation anomalies, again, varying from state to state, but overall quite unsettled, really. Some specific areas are a little bit dry, particularly so like in the west, in the southwest, so California coming out drier than average. Some parts of central northern America a little bit drier than average, but overall pretty unsettled. I think most of the states are coming out quite unsettled with above average rainfall this week. Here's the latest info map from earthnullschool.net showing that we've got a trough of low pressure at the moment sitting in the west of the Midwest. That's starting to pull some colder air down from Canada. But ahead of that, that's where we're drawing up those warmer winds from the south, and we'll continue to do so for the next few days. So the reason it's going to be warmer in the east is that we're going to get, let's change the colour, we're going to get wind coming up from the south up the eastern side. At the same time, this low just here will draw some colder air down from the north. Here's how the latest midnight GFS run is looking then. So again, you see that area of low pressure here starting to move in towards the Midwest. On the eastern side of that low, we draw up those milder winds from south. On the western side of the low, we pull in colder winds from the north. Out in the west, we're under a ridge of high pressure. This is how the upper air temperatures are looking. So you can see, again, drawing up those mild winds from the Gulf of Mexico up the eastern side, but on the east side of the low. But on the western side of the low, we pull in some colder air from the north. And as we progress through the rest of this week, that low will push eastwards. It'll draw up some very warm air on the southern and eastern side of the low up the east coast of America, but will also bring heavy rain too. But as the low pushes through, temperature starts to drop into the Midwest. Some of the precipitation could turn to snow there. Into the weekend, again, another low pressure pushes through. This one again drawing up quite warm air from the Gulf of Mexico and from the tropical Atlantic up the eastern side of America, up the eastern coast. But again, around the Midwest, we start drawing some colder air from the north on the western side of below, and that could well see precipitation turning increasingly to snow through the Midwest over the weekend. Back out into western part of America, we're basically under a ridge of high pressure, a lot of quiet weather in the west. This is how the upper air temperature looking Sunday. Again, it was pretty warm up the east coast, doesn't it? Pretty warm up through there. In the west, though, and to the west of below through the Midwest, that's where we've got the colder air being drawn in from Canada, probably enough to turn the precipitation to snow through the Midwest. On into the early part of next week, we start to bring up some very mild air through these central plain states. So some really warm air begins to push northwards up through there, although the northwestern Pacific side of America is quite cold. And we begin to draw in some very cold air from Canada into the far northeast. Down comes the -10 Celsius isosphere, but not for long, because then this ridge slips over towards the Atlantic coast. We start to bring back southerly winds once again. So through the middle of next week, it starts to turn a lot milder, but another change comes through as we move towards Easter, as the next low pushes through this system just here. Again, quite warm on the east side of below. On the west side of below, colder air is coming back in from Canada. Once again, precipitation might start to turn to snow into the Easter period. So the end of next week looks like that ridge of high pressure building across these eastern states, and probably quite cold under that area of high pressure in the northeast anyway. There's the upper air temperatures for next Friday. You see it has turned really much colder across these eastern and northeast states and back out into the Midwest. At the same time, the central states and going over towards the west coast looking pretty warm away from the far northwest anyway. Then go through the rest of the long Easter weekend, and we find high pressure again is dominating weather, this time away to our east, drawing up warm winds from the south, this time the east side. So gradually temperatures begin to recover as we go through the first sort of week of April. We find the ridge building to the east that starts to draw warmer winds up from the south. That's how it looks as we get to the end of this GFS run. So pretty mild, or actually quite warm by the 9th of April. Most parts of the states turning a lot milder and a lot warmer, and looking really quite hot. Heat really starting to build from Mexico into the southern states. So yeah, it looks like summer is going to be really starting to ramp up a few gears in most southern states by the time we get through to the second week of April, as you would expect at this time of the year. Right, we don't want that. Want to go to them. Euro looks like this. So again, today we're bringing up mild air from the south, or tomorrow I should say, into tomorrow. It's like today through to tomorrow, really. Drawing up warm air from the south, but through the Midwest, the east side, through the Midwest, this area of low pressure will start to bring cold air down from the north. Heading on into Friday and weekend, below pressure pushes eastwards into the northeast, tries to draw down some cold air from the north, but it is struggling with Europe to get the cold air in from Canada actually over the weekend. Restricted Maine to the very, very far north and northeast once again. Early next week, we get a ridge building on the eastern side of America, draws up warm winds from the south into the central Rocky Mountain states. So you can see, but I mean, the heat is really there across those southern states and pushing northwards as well. So that's unusually warm air getting into Canada, plus 10 Celsius isotherm there getting into Canada. But again, it's a major area of low pressure bringing that northwards, and on the so that's going to bring heavy rain, of course, and like a really warm, humid feel. But on the western side of below, we draw down cold air from Canada, so there will be snow on the west side of below, heavy rain on the eastern side of the low and a big temperature differential. That low pressure sweeps eastwards through the middle and second half of next week and starts to push back warmth eastwards and then draw in the colder air from the north in its wake. So that's Thursday, a week tomorrow. Active front is on the eastern side of America. That could well bring heavy rain, possibly thunderstorms, with a warm southerly push ahead of it, and then got these cold northerly winds digging in behind it. So that, you know, traditional sort of alternating air mass type pattern. By Friday next week, 2nd of April, cold air has pushed through into the east and into the northeast as well. Down come those cold upper air temperatures from Canada. Meanwhile, out in the west and southwest, the heat continues to start to build up, indicative of a transition into summer. That's how we look with the ECWF as we get to day 10, Saturday the 3rd of April. Under a ridge of high pressure on the eastern side of America, looking mainly dry and starting to get milder then as well. We see the coldest of the upper air temperatures begin to recede back into Canada once more. Heat is building out in the west. CFS V2 finally. So this is how CFS looking for the next 4 weeks. These are 500 millibar heights broken down into week periods. The first week period takes from 23rd, 29th of March. The coming week has his trough of low pressure through here. A ridge is out in the west, and another ridge is over in the east. A jet stream will be doing something a little bit like that. So yeah, drawing up warm air from the south into the east part of America. Then this low pressure pushes eastwards and brings colder air in from the north in its way. Week 2 is going to be the 30th of March to the 5th of April. Low pressure then up to the north. Higher pressure light through the east and the southeast. Just doing something like that. So it could be quite cold in the north. Otherwise, probably reasonably mild actually. Many of those eastern and southern southeast states. Week 3 is the 6th through to the 12th of April. High pressure then in the east. Low pressure in the west, so cooler and most unsettled in the west, and particularly in the northwest. Otherwise, quite a bit of high pressure going on. And then we go through into week 4, which is the 13th to the 19th of April. High pressure more towards Canada then. So that might be seeing the jet stream begin to move southwards a little bit. That's turning a bit more unsettled. Temperature anomalies look like that. Proper east-west split in the week ahead. So many eastern parts of America significantly milder than average, colder than average through those western states. Generally quite a mild scene into week 2 of CFS, 30th of March to 5th of April. Most states looking pretty mild away from the far northwest, where it is that little bit colder. Week 3, again, it's colder than average in the far west and northwest. Otherwise, most places have above average temperatures. And again, week 4, 13th to the 19th of April. Mild average through most areas from the Pacific coast all the way over to the Atlantic coast. And then precipitation anomalies finally. So quite unsettled in the weekend. It's drier out in the west and in the southeast. Otherwise above average precipitation in particularly the southeastern states actually. Week 2 is going to be the 30th of March to the 5th of April. Drier than average in the southeast and in the west and the northwest. Otherwise a little bit on the unsettled side in the far east and northeast. Week 3 is the 6th through to 12th of April, so a bit above average for precipitation in the north, drier than average down in the south. And then most states finishing up drier than average actually by week 4, which is the 13th to the 19th of April. Right, that's it for the USA forecast for this week. If you enjoyed the video, please smash the like button and drop a comment. Let us know what you think. We'll be back later on with a 10 to 14 day update for the UK and for Northern Europe. Signs of a cold blast of northerly winds perhaps for Easter, but more about that coming up later on. And then we have an Easter update for you tonight, probably around 7, 8 o'clock, something like that. For this week's USA forecast, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.